Hi guys, my name's Trey Morgan. I'm with the Czech Center Museum Houston. Today we're going to be interviewing Gavin, who is a YouTuber that has kind of documented his journey learning the Czech language, his trials and tribulations, just his journey in the process overall. Gavin, it's very nice to meet you and see you face to face.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm super stoked to talk about this crazy journey of learning Czech.
Awesome. And then we also have our resident Czech here, Andrea. She comes from the Czech Republic, and she's here to help us out today with more of the in-depth language portions of the interview.
Skvěle.
Hi, my name is Andrea Čeladová. I come from Příbram, from the Czech Republic, and I'm here to help the guys out with the Czech class. And I prepared a little quiz at the end into our interview to see how the Gavin is proceeding with his Czech.
Jdeme.
Jdeme na to.
Jdeme na to.
Gavin, my first question for you is, so why did you decide to learn Czech, and then what's been your biggest challenge in trying to learn the language?
2.5 years ago, I decided that I wanted to learn a new language, and my family is Czech, but like 5 generations ago. So I wanted to kind of connect with that side of my past, and I wanted a big challenge. Like I'd already learned Spanish and Portuguese, and I wanted something completely different. So not like Italian or French or something. And so it seemed like Czech would be a good option.
I agree.
And then what's been the biggest challenge of the language itself? I know it's since it's a Slavic language, it has a little bit of a more of a difficult learning curve, I would say.
For a native English speaker, it's more difficult definitely than any like Romance language or Germanic language. So you're right about it. Because it's a Slavic language, I think the biggest difficulty is the declensions, how you can say any word, like the word kniha for book. In English, book is always book, unless you have 2, and then it's books. But that's the only way we modify the word book. Whereas in Czech, you have essentially 14 different ways to say book, depending on whether the book is yours, knihu, or you're learning something from the book, z knihy, or you're doing something with the books, kniho. And so I actually have like tables and tables of words that I've written for myself of how to say all these different words in 14 different ways, and then the adjectives that go before them all decline as well. So that's not something that we're used to doing as native English speakers, like morphing words like Play-Doh to fit in the sentence how we're going to. But it's a beautiful thing too, because words morph and you don't need as many of these little words like of or with that we use in English. A lot of times, just based on how the Play-Doh word is morphed in Czech, you can figure out how they're using it.
All right, it's really cool. Something that I didn't know. So, kind of through learning.
Impressive, I would say.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Over the past 2.5 years, then, what's been your favorite phrase in the language?
My favorite phrase. Oh my gosh. I love the phrase "mám v tom guláš," which is like, it's all mixed up in my head is like that means. It literally means like I have a goulash out of it, and goulash is like a mixed stew, like part of the Czech cuisine. So I think it's a great phrase because I'm often confused in Czech, and the phrase also involves a classic Czech food. Mám v tom guláš.
What would be the first phrase that you actually ended up learning, and what inspired you to kind of document your learning and progress as well?
The first phrase that I learned?
Mm-hmm. Or first phrase word, kind of, if you can remember.
I mean, like ahoy,
Okay.
Učím se česky was like, I'm teaching myself Czech, I'm learning Czech was a helpful phrase at the beginning. And then a lot of the phrases like, I like this, like mám rád psy. I don't know, I like dogs, the ways to say that you like something. And
what about jak se máš?
Jak se máš, how are you? Also, of course, definitely that one. Jmenuji se Gavin. TadyGavin, that's the name of my YouTube channel, which means like Gavin here. What's up? you know. Yeah. And what was the other question?
The other was, so what inspired you to document your learning in progress?
So I had already learned another language, Brazilian Portuguese, and I didn't document my progress, and I kind of wish that I had.
Mm-hmm.
To show people where I came from. I think when you're learning a language, it's difficult to see day-to-day progress, but month-to-month progress, if you're studying regularly, is definitely noticeable. So when you film yourself, it's reassurance that you are making progress when you put these videos next to each other. And also when you record yourself, you notice mistakes that you're making that when you're actually speaking, you may not notice. So it's really good for me to go back, review my videos, and it keeps me honest because I post these videos on YouTube, and for the first year and a half that I posted them, they didn't really get watched by people. But all of a sudden, the channel that I created for learning Czech went viral in the Czech Republic, and it keeps me honest in that. It keeps me wanting to practice to show that I'm making progress to my audience, and again to notice my own mistakes and never make those mistakes again.
Especially, I'm sure in the editing process, you'll hear it a lot.
Oh my gosh, so much so, and I always have to wonder, should I leave this mistake in because it shows the natural process of learning a language? We all make hundreds and hundreds of mistakes a day, but that's a good thing because you're learning. But then editing, you're supposed to make a better video, so maybe I should take it out. Yeah, it's always a dilemma for me.
Since you've been documenting your learning process, what do you think is a good message to spread to younger generations wanting to learn Czech or learn another language in general?
Yeah, I would say embrace your mistakes. There's a famous polyglot who said that, his name is Benny Lewis. He said that if you're not making 200 mistakes a day, then you're not studying enough. So I think in the beginning of learning Brazilian Portuguese, which I learned before Czech, I was kind of afraid of making mistakes, and I would hesitate to speak, and I wouldn't seek out opportunities to speak because I didn't want to embarrass myself. But now I go out of my way to find native Czechs to try to speak with and try to make these 200 mistakes a day, because that means I'm trying to use the language enough. So the moment that I stopped being a perfectionist was the moment that I started getting better in Portuguese and now better in Czech. So my message would just be to embrace your mistakes and make a lot of them.
What has been kind of do you have a specific goal in learning all of these languages, or being a polyglot yourself, 4 languages? Is there a specific goal, or would you say that you're already fairly fluent in the language, or you still have a lot to learn?
In Czech, I still have a lot to learn. I would consider myself maybe B2, I on the cusp of fluency, but not quite. And I think unlike a lot of polyglots, I don't want to learn 20 languages or something like that. I definitely value depth over breadth. So I want to be able to understand cultural references or the cartoons that Czech kids grew up with, Krteček, or things like that. Or I want to try to cook the food and to be able to really connect with people when I travel to the Czech Republic in the same way that I connect with people when I go to Brazil. And so I don't want to learn another language or anything until I can speak Czech fluently, say exactly what's on my mind, even if I make mistakes. And so my goal in terms of polyglottery in general is to really do well at Spanish, Brazilian Portuguese, and now Czech, which I know. And before I move on to the next one, know those. And if I want to, then go on to the next one. But I don't have a number of languages goal.
Kind of back to your learning of the language. So do you use books? Do you watch movies? What is your kind of methods of learning?
So it depends on what stage of learning I was at. Extremely in the beginning of learning Czech, I don't know if I have, I would use textbooks mostly. I did a lot of passive study, which is just trying to ingest as much information as you can. I would study flashcards for 30 minutes a day on my phone. And I would listen to Czech radio, Český rozhlas, I was understanding almost nothing, but just to get the rytmus, the rhythm of the language in my head. Later on, come year 2 and year 3 of learning Czech, I do much less passive studying and more active studying. So these are things that require me to reproduce speech or interact with people or make videos. I do 2 conversations in Czech online a week through the website italki with native speakers, and recording a lot of videos. And I watch a lot more like movies and series now and read more books. So Pelishki is a classic. Vypravě is my favorite TV show right now. I am reading Deníček moderního fotra, and then Konec prokrastinace, the end of procrastination, is a book that I'm trying to read right now. I have the English version and the Czech version like side by side. So when I don't know a word, I can go back over here and see it in context. But I actually just made an awesome video like describing every resource that I've used since the beginning of learning Czech that I put on my main YouTube channel right now. So I would encourage people to check that out at TadyGavin on YouTube.
Oh, perfect. And then now I'm going to throw it on over to Andrea. She's going to do a little Czech quiz.
Okay, let's do it.
For you.
Yeah.
I have
to keep my promise, right? I gave at the
Yes.
beginning. I know you are pretty advanced, so I think it will be a piece of cake for you. I prepared like 5 Czech proverbs, so I will be saying them in Czech, and I would like you to try to translate them into English, if it's okay with you.
Okay. No, to nebude hračka, ale
jo.
Ale jo. Tak uvidíme.
Uvidíme, přesně tak. So, let's start. Number 1 is mám knedlík v krku.
Like knedlík, like a dumpling.
Exactly.
I have a dumpling in my throat.
You see, you got it right.
Krku.
Perfect.
Interesting that the word for neck and throat are the same.
Right. Yeah, it's funny, right? How for some expressions you have the same words and you can use them in different ways, and it's the opposite in other languages. It's a
yes.
Impressive.
Yeah. So, and that's like I have a frog in my throat, we say in English, right? Like it's hard to say something.
Yeah.
I learned something today.
Yeah.
Number 2. Snesla bych ti modré z nebe.
Tak snesl bych ti modré z nebe. Like I would take the blue from the sky for you.
Correct. Wow. Doing very well.
Which I imagine is like a romantic expression, like I would go to the ends of the earth for you.
Yes, exactly. I would do anything for you.
Okay,
let's continue. We have number 3. Mluví ti stříbro, mlče ti zlato.
Mluví ti stříbro, mlče ti zlato. Yeah, like talking silver, silence gold.
Good.
Like, silence is. I think we just say silence is golden in English.
Which is yeah.
Number 4. Bez peněz do hospody nelez.
No, that reminds me of like bez koláče nejsou práce. Like no pain.
Bez práce nejsou koláče.
Bez práce nejsou koláče. No, but bez peněz do hospody nelez. Like don't go to a pub like without money.
Good. Yeah,
what does that mean? Just like always be prepared?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a nice Czech cultural phrase, like mám v tom guláš, because it has like a classic, like hospoda.
Hospoda, right?
Yes, that's great.
About hospoda.
Yes, I love it.
And the last one would be, and I think it's nicely expressing your way of studying Czech. Trpělivost růže přináší.
Trpělivost růže přináší. Like patience brings roses.
Right.
What would we say in English, Trey?
There's a reward waiting.
There's a reward waiting. Yeah. Yeah.
And
that's true.
Don't give up.
Or like, yeah, don't give up, or patience is a virtue. Kind of.
Yeah. I love, that's really interesting, that phrase, like trpělivo, because like literally to English that would translate as patience roses brings. And the Czech language, you can like completely mix up all the words because the ending will tell you what's the subject, what's the object, where the verb is doing its action to. Whereas in English, we have like a much more set order and you can't mix the words around. So that is a beautiful thing about the Czech language that trpělivost růže přináší demonstrates.
Awesome job. I would give you jednička s hvězdičkou.
Wow, awesome.
All right. Well, that's pretty much the end of our interview. Gavin, if you want to plug your YouTube channel again, I believe it's TadyGavin.
Yeah, TadyGavin, which is T-A-D-Y Gavin. And you can see my progress literally from month 1 in learning Czech. And I've also started to make fun videos trying Czech candy for the first time, or trying Czech beers, trying Czech food in the Czech Republic, talking about fun Czech verbs that I've discovered. So it's a fun place for me to document my progress, and I continue to learn. So we're in this journey together. If you're learning Czech too, jsme v tom spolu.
Alrighty. Well, that's about it, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Definitely go check Gavin out. And for any other learning tips, check his YouTube and also check our learning page at the Czech Center Museum, Houston. Thanks so much. Bye.
Ciao, ahoy.
Ahoy.